Hi, I'm Alyssa, and in 2021 I was diagnosed with blood cancer. When I'm older, I would really like to work in labs like these to do the same as what they did for me, as they provided the treatment that saved my life. I'm here today to find out more and meet all the scientists.
Welcome
Thank you
to the Anthony Nolan Research Institute. I hope you have fun today. Come with me. So I'm going to show you around the lab.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about all the different equipment and things that we have and what we use them for, and a little bit about the research we do here, and I'll introduce some of the team. That's okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Anthony Nolan is an organization best known for being the first bone marrow register in the world. However, it's not the only thing we do. Apart from providing donors for transplant for patients, we also provide cells for research and development of new therapies. These cells go on to be used by researchers both here in the UK and in some places in Europe. And in fact, one of the first places where these cells went to was to Great Ormond Street Hospital, and they created the therapy that Alyssa received.
Hi, I'm Alyssa. Can you tell me a bit about what you do and who you are?
I'm Diana. I am the Director of Advanced Therapies here at Anthony Nolan Research Institute, and I have a team of people that do cool stuff.
I'm Maggie. I'm a postdoctoral research scientist here at Anthony Nolan, and I've been working here for 3 years now in Diana's team, in the immunotherapy team.
So I'm Georgie, and I'm a research assistant with the immunotherapy group.
What would you say your most favourite part about your job is?
It's probably quite simple, but I really like culturing cells as a process. I think it's something that I was always really excited to do when I was thinking about doing science, the idea of taking cells out of a body and then keeping them alive in an artificial culture system is really cool. And then there's something really therapeutic and nice about the sort of sterility inside the tissue culture hood. So it's all very routine, and what I like to do sometimes is put on an audio book or something like that, and then get into the zone of culturing my cells. And then afterwards you get the amazing moment, especially if you've isolated cells, say, looking at them under the microscope and being oh my gosh, that used to be part of a person or an umbilical cord or whatever, but now I've got it growing out on this dish and I can put it in an incubator and they'll grow almost as if they're in a living being, but they're just in a flask. So it's cool.
My favourite part of the job? There's loads of different things. I like the idea of finding new things that nobody else knows yet. I like the excitement of sort of trying to look for something that's novel and that can give an outcome to something that we have a problem with. And I like mentoring people. That's one of my favourite things. I like bossing people around, maybe too much. But yeah, I like the idea of sort of having a team that I can help develop their careers. I like that.
I think my favourite thing about the job is the sort of diversity. So, there's elements of it that are office-based, like reading and research, but then you get to actually see the practical execution of those things. And the mix of doing wet lab work and more theoretical research, I think keeps things always exciting, keeps your week interesting. Yeah.
I love that you're also passionate about what you do, but off the back of that, is there anything that you particularly dislike or would rather not do?
Probably not so much now, but when I started my career there was a lot of working weekends and working odd hours and often having to do experiments over and over again with no sort of nothing to show for them, I suppose, or not being able to do something because you haven't got enough money.
Yeah, money's always helpful. I feel for me it's as in you can't have an experiment go right and find out something new without having 10 experiments before then that you do and then they go wrong and you don't get the result that you're looking for, or you don't get any results at all, which is always a bit soul destroying. But I guess with that kind of, the lows do come the highs where you get everything just right and the cells behave themselves and you get the result and an amazing graph that you can put in a presentation, present at a conference and stuff like that. But yeah, I could really, if I could get rid of anything, it would be the experiments that go wrong. That would be great.
The failures.
And then for me, I guess the only thing would be sort of being at the demand of the cells in a way. So like, for example, Dan was saying like coming in at weekends sometimes, like because they're biological entities that you can't just sort of be paused all the time, and sometimes, you know, there's time points or the cells are sensitive, so you have to like make time for them. So sometimes I guess that's a bit of a more difficult element compared to like, you know, some office work that you could pause and pick up when suits. And like, could you tell us a bit about your interest in biology and how that's changed?
Yeah, so before my treatment, obviously, I thought biology was an alright subject. It was a good subject, but like it was hard to understand like the amount of things that you could do to it. Especially at the time, I was only 12 when I was diagnosed. So before that, like in primary, obviously, you don't do that much. And I'd only just started secondary school and it was COVID, so I hadn't had that many biology lessons. But you look on it and you just think that it's like learning about different body parts, and you know, you don't really realise how much like knowledge of biology can impact somebody and like change their life. Whereas like after all my treatment and understanding how more things work and having the opportunity to come do things like this and go to like talks and things where like having the privilege to listen to all these amazing scientists about all the research that they do and how each one impacts somebody's life, it made it like so much more real for me that learning about biology could actually do so much for somebody. And I think that's where my interest now has really come from, especially like learning about how things that you never even thought about before, how much of a difference that they can change, how much of a difference they can make for people.
Do you think that the curriculum as it stands in the schools is interesting enough? Or is it really, I mean, most of your interest has come because of the way it's affected you, but do you think that other people can get inspired by how things are taught at school? So,
I think like that's a really hard question. At school, like when you think about science, it's very different because you learn about so for example, when you do chemistry, you associate it with a lot of practical work because you do a lot of practical work in chemistry, and it's all about using different substances to make a new product, which is essentially what you guys are doing, and making something amazing out of what's in the human body. But in biology, especially when you get hands-on, you don't really see that very much in the school curriculum, which is why I think that many people don't really go on to do it as much as probably they would if they saw behind the scenes of what was happening. Because obviously I've been fortunate enough to experience the way that biology can impact people and how it can be so amazing, whereas when you're at school you don't really learn about that. You learn about things that have already been done and not things that are going on, and you learn about everything that you learn about seems to have happened quite a long time ago. It's almost as though nothing is left to discover. And obviously there's so many things, and like it's like biology is such a broad subject that obviously it's very hard to get everything into the curriculum at the minute as it stands.
So obviously you're interested in biology partly because of, you know, what you've been through and your treatment, and because you've got such a sort of wonderfully novel experimental treatment. But where you before that, had you ever sort of seen anybody trying to explain you know, science or new discoveries, or did you learn most of it while you were in hospital from the doctors that treated you there? Or?
So before my treatment, like it was mainly just biology that we did in school, so it was very much like just when you typically think of biology,
like you think of like bones, learning the different types of bones and things like that. It was very much just that, and I didn't realise how much you could do with it and how much work goes on behind the scenes using biology. I think after my treatment I've been really lucky because I've had the opportunity to go to so many science conferences about how different parts of biology can help so many people, and that's what really gained my interest. So even throughout hospital I knew that biology was helping me, but then it was almost like I didn't know how it was helping other people too. Whereas now, from going to all these conferences, you can see like the massive spectrum that biology can go into actually helping people in day-to-day lives, which is amazing. I think if everybody had the opportunity to look into what was going on behind the scenes in conferences like these, maybe using less technical language because sometimes I don't understand half of what they're saying, it would really encourage people, because people say I want to be a nurse or I want to be a doctor or I want to be a police officer or a firefighter because I want to help people, and yet behind the scenes there are so many people that are helping people but almost they don't get recognised as much as they should. So I think that's a really important part of like the recognition and the acknowledgement to the people behind the scenes that are doing all this stuff. Because when you just look in a hospital, you see the doctors who are telling you what are going on, and you see the nurses who are putting the treatment in, and you don't think about the people down in the labs or doing research or things like that. They're all kind of pushed to the back of your mind, whereas without them, none of this would be happening in the first place. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Do you reckon you'd stay here or you'd be going off on some other adventure?
Remember, her boss is here, so she might not tell you the right answer. She might.
Yeah, I think for me it's quite interesting because a research assistant position is quite a junior position, and to kind of go forward in science, often you need a PhD to then become like a postdoctoral scientist. So for me, definitely, you know, within the next 5 years or when feels right, then I'll probably be doing a PhD. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess in terms of that as well, so like I've done my PhD and I'm a postdoctoral researcher, so I've been able to progress in sort of my independence as like a researcher to the next stage, but I feel like now in the next sort of 5 years I'm sort of continuing that until I can become sort of a fully independent researcher, sort of applying for my own funding, and at the minute I work sort of under Diana on her project, but eventually I'd like to sort of run my own projects and have that kind of creative control that now would be very overwhelming and scary, but I'm hoping that in 5 years that I'd be totally up for that.
In 5 years, I'm hoping that she'll do my job and I can just watch her do it from the comfort of my own home. How do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I want to go and do my A-levels and things, and progress onto working in research as well, and doing something the same or if not very similar to what you guys do. So I think that would be really cool.
Oh, converted.
I wanted to ask, now that you're going to be continuing your study into biology and be getting more and more knowledgeable, is there any topics in particular that you're really excited to learn about, like genetics or cell biology or anything like that?
To be fair, at the minute at GCSE level, I probably know more than what's being taught about cells, some cells, not all cells obviously. So I would love to go into more in that and how they work and why cancer happens in some people and it doesn't in others, especially with blood cancer, because that's coming from a personal experience. I think that cell biology is really interesting, and looking into diseases and infections and how they work and how they penetrate like the human immune system is also something really interesting to look in. As someone who's really interested in going a very similar way, do you have any advice?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I know it's different for everybody, and I know Diana did a more sort of specialised course, but for me, doing a biology course at university where you can pick up loads of different areas of biology, and you can do, like Maggie did, like zoology or plant biology, was really important to me to not only get a full understanding of like all the areas you can go into and then be able to kind of pick where your favourites are, but also because they're all so intertwined and they all end up becoming really relevant. Like even if you do, you develop therapeutics, like so many of those come from plants and natural stuff anyway, that it all kind of, I think it's really good to have a really broad foundation in biology and not sort of, specialise too quickly and really explore all the different careers and fields you can work in would be my advice.
Yeah, I think following on from that, I feel like being open to different opportunities and different areas has really helped me learn what I like and what I don't like. So especially when I was at uni, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So like I joined an ecological society and I was out by the River Humber, like cutting grass and picking up sticks for like preserving the environment. And then the next year I did like a plant science summer school, so I was learning about like plant disease and plant pathology. And then I went on to do the lab project in the lab, and I feel like I enjoyed all of those experiences really, but by being open to it and just putting myself out there and trying it even though I didn't know what I was going to like, it really helped me sort of home in on what I am good at. Like for instance, when I was saying about being a creature of habit, that's always been something more like day to day about me, but that quality actually has made me good in the lab because it means that when I do something, I do it in the same order each time, so it's very replicatable and things like that. So yeah.
I think the most important thing is to do something that you love. Don't let people put you off just because you might not be the best at it. A lot of people choose their degrees or their careers based on what they're good at or what they are perceived to be getting better marks at. And that only lasts you so long. So do something that you really love, even if it's hard. But it's really important because if you don't love it, it's really hard to do it for a long time.
I wanted to say thank you to you all and have a little present. I know that you're going to go on to do great things, so that's for... Not that you're not doing them already. I'm just going to bring it home. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's lovely, thank you.
Oh, it's very sweet.
Oh.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, and I know how much you guys all do behind the scenes, and I'm really, really grateful. I've had such an interesting day at the Anthony Nolan Research Labs. I've used the pipettes, I have seen cancer cells under a microscope, and I've even met 3 amazing researchers and heard about what they've done. I'm so grateful to have been able to have the opportunity to go to the Anthony Nolan Labs. I can't wait to be here next time, hopefully conducting my own research. See you soon!